안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Shariel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Korean language. If you watched my most recent video about me relaunching my YouTube channel, I did mention that now I am going to be going over videos that allow me to talk more about the Korean language and just my journey. And I want to be able to help others because if you study Korean, you know that I think it's reasonably easy to learn to a certain extent, but there are a lot of different difficulties and obstacles that you face. So today I wanted to talk about, first of all, how I got into Korean, and then I also want to give you guys 8 tips to help you, whether you're a beginner or whether you're someone who's been studying Korean for a while and you just kind of feel like you're a little bit stuck. I hope that these tips help you guys. I've got my cute little laptop here, my little stickers on it and stuff, and I got my notes on my computer, so I will be reading my notes from my computer a little bit or my laptop. And if you guys have any tips or anything, please, feel free to share them in the comments as well. But without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to share, and I'll probably put a timestamp for you guys if you're impatient, you don't want to hear how I got into Korean, but I feel like people ask you this question. If you ever get on a language exchange app and you're talking to a Korean person, they're going to ask you this question. So I'm just going to go ahead and share personally how I got into Korean. So first of all, I didn't really know a whole lot about the Korean language growing up. I do have in my family who studies Chinese, and even when I was younger, I was always kind of curious about East Asian languages or even Southeast Asian languages as well. I even tried briefly learning Chinese, but at that time I was like, I don't know, probably 10 years old or something like that. I didn't really know where to start really with language learning, so I only learned a little bit and that didn't really work out. So obviously I know Chinese and Korean are different, so I'm not saying they're the same, just hang in there. So anyhow, go to, I think 2018, I believe. So like most people, if you don't really live in an area where there's a lot of Korean population, you most of the time get introduced to a form of Korean culture or just something that's really popular that comes from Korea. So in my case, like a lot of people, it was K-pop. I remember I saw BTS on Ellen and I just thought that they were really cool. So I had gotten into their music and all of that. And I know a lot of the times this is where people click off and they're like, oh, you're a Korea boo. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically somebody who is really invested in Korean culture or things that come from Korea, like K-pop, K-dramas, and they get really obsessed with it to the point where they either consider themselves Korean or they want a Korean boyfriend really badly. I'm not that person. Like I said, I don't have a lot of Korean people near me, so I don't really know how I would have gotten into the Korean language had it not really been for me discovering, K-pop, the music at the time. So after a while listening to their music, I just realized I love how the language sounds. It has nothing to do with, boy bands or anything like that. It has nothing to do with them. I did not start learning Korean for BTS. If that was your reason, then, that's fine. I respect that too. But I did not start learning it for anybody. It was literally for myself because I had realized I love the way that this language sounds. I love Hangul, the alphabet. If you're not familiar with it, of course, it's on my t-shirt and all of that, but that's the Korean alphabet. I just realized I love this language basically more than English, which sounds weird saying it. But even when I would just watch interviews and hear people talking and stuff, it's this language is so pretty. And like I said, I've always had an interest and curiosity in a lot of East Asian culture and all of that. So just on top of feeling the language is so pretty and I love the alphabet, love the way that it's written. Also just having that curiosity about Korean culture and Korean history and all of that. So I did try in 2018, but at that time I kind of failed because I only studied consistently for about a month and I didn't really have a group support or anything like that. A lot of people, they kind of get into, a group where they go to school or something for Korean. So I tried for about a month and it didn't work out. And then I still loved it and everything. I don't know what happened. I think just at that time I got busy. I was actually in cosmetology school and I got busy with that and then I didn't pick it back up. So fast forward to 2020, I think I started a little bit in June 2020 and then I really got serious with it November of 2020. So I've picked it back up and of course I've had my ups and downs where I've gotten discouraged and sometimes I wouldn't study for a month, but I've definitely grown a whole lot, to the point where I feel like I can kind of help people a little bit more now, and to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm at a good point where I can build sentences and all of that. So that's my story. And yes, if you guys have, your own little story, of course we all do, please feel free to share it in the comments, because I know everyone's story is a little bit different, but I would love to hear what yours is. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get into these tips. So tip number 1, if you are not sure where to start with Korean, this is my personal suggestion. I think that getting an app is a good way for you to start, because you're not investing a bunch of money at first into like really getting an app. Personally, I really like Lingo Deer. I know a lot of people get on Duolingo. I've tried Duolingo a little bit. I like that one too. I just like Lingo Deer a lot, and plus the little like deer on the logo is like so cute to me. But Lingo Deer to me is fantastic. I did have it for, I would say, about a year and a half, and I think it's very helpful. Just my thing is, I feel like the app is meant to get you started, to kind of get your feet wet, to see if, okay, do I even like this language? Am I willing to put more work in and all of that? I don't think it's meant for you to stay there forever, unless like if you just want something to do quickly before you go to bed. I think it's a good refresher, but I don't think that having an app is gonna get you to the point where you're like, super fluent. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get tripped up and they get kind of discouraged. Like, I think an app is just a starting point to kind of help you, or if you want to kill time or do a quick lesson, I think that's fine, but it's gonna take more than an app, I think, for you to become more comfortable in the Korean language. Number 2, learn the alphabet first. Please learn Hangul, the Korean alphabet first, please. Because a lot of the times, when you're first learning Korean, you're gonna have romanization, and I'm not 100% against romanization, but literally romanization to me and to a lot of people is like a crutch. Like, you start to rely on it more, and if you're not looking at that Korean alphabet often, so then you're relying on romanization, and then your pronunciation's not that great. So like, I would just say from the jump, just only do the alphabet. I know it sounds hard, but to be honest with you, reading Hangul is very, very easy. You do not need romanization to really help you. And you will realize, like, I feel like reading romanization is harder. Me and my friends did karaoke recently, and like, some of the lyrics or whatever had romanization, and it's like I preferred reading Hangul over reading romanization. So just help yourself from the beginning. Just skip the romanization. And then number 3, learn vocab for everyday life. So for me, I was part of a language exchange for a couple months, and I'm not gonna, like, this language exchange is very good. It was like a group kind of class, and I think that in the beginning it really did help me. I feel like my Korean improved over that time, because that time I was still like a beginner and still figuring things out. I think that group setting helped me out a lot. But after a while, we started getting taught like topics that no one would ever use. It was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to use these in real life. So you want to make sure that when you're learning vocab, like, learn vocab that you're going to be using in everyday life. Because if you're sitting there studying like words that you never use ever in your everyday routine or your everyday life, then later on when it's time for you to actually say stuff, you're like, the words that I know have nothing to do with what I need to say. So, learn words about, food, travel and transportation, family words, Korean foods, things like that, technology. Like, just think about, okay, what do I talk about every single day? And, figure out how to say those words in Korean, because that's really going to help you out a whole lot. And number 4 kind of ties into number 3. So don't just learn the vocab, but please also learn how to build sentences. Talk to Me in Korean. I'll get the book at the end of the video or something like that. But Talk to Me in Korean has a book called Build and Extend Your Own Sentences, I believe. And that one shows you, how to tie in words, how to make your sentence longer, and all that stuff. Like, if somebody would have told me from the beginning, like, don't just learn words, but like learn like how to put it in a sentence, I would have done that a lot sooner. Because what happens is, you're learning, okay, I know how to say sagwa, but you don't know sagwa, which is like apple or apology, but you don't even know how to put that into a sentence. So it's like, what if you want to go to the market and buy an apple and you want to say something, but it's like, I don't know, that was kind of a bad example, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, don't just learn how to say words. Like, at the end of the day, like, you're not going to go up to a Korean person and really just be saying one word. Like, you need to know how to engage that person in the conversation. So if you're just only knowing how to say, if you have this big vocabulary, but you don't know how to even put it together in a sentence, that's really bad. And of course, it's not like bashing anybody, because obviously I was at that point, which is why I'm telling you guys that. But even in the Talk to Me in Korean videos, they tell you, like, don't just learn words, but learn how to put them into sentences, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to speak sentences when you're talking to another Korean person. Okay, and then number 5, which is one of my favorites, is be okay with the fact that your voice is going to sound different. As you guys could probably tell in the intro video, like when I said hello in Korean, like my voice does not sound the same in Korean as it does when I'm speaking English. I have kind of like a more deeper, kind of like raspy voice when I speak in English. In Korean, it's not like that. And that's something that, again, I realized months later after studying Korean. My friend, who's actually, she's going to college for Korean. She had told me, like, you know, Korean's a little bit more nasally, so of course you don't want to overdo it. But I think that really helped me, because when I was speaking in Korean with my normal voice, it was like, dang, I sound like kind of dead on the inside. So a lot of the times, you know, if you're speaking Korean and like there's not like an Korean accent, you know, your pronunciation's going to be off. You know, if in the beginning I was like 안녕하세요 여러분, like you guys would have been like, what the heck? So no, like you're not gonna sound exactly the same. Please don't like overdo it though, because you don't want to sound like you're going out of your way to sound Korean. You don't want to overdo it. I think that just looks bad. But just understand that, like, you know, I guess depending on your voice, you'll see where you need to adjust. My voice is kind of deeper. I feel like Korean's kind of higher. So I kind of have to like raise my voice a little bit to where it sounds a little bit higher when I speak Korean. But again, your voice is different than mine. You'll see where you need to adjust. And if you're still not sure, then, you know, get with a Korean tutor. But I know for me, when I was speaking in Korean like this with my normal voice, I felt like I was getting corrected a whole lot more. And then when I fixed it and like did better, I'm not saying it's perfect, but when I fixed it, I felt like I don't get corrected as much. I still do get corrected obviously on pronunciation, but like I feel like beforehand it was like everything I was saying, it was like it just sounded terrible because my accent was off. So be okay with the fact you're gonna sound different. You're not embarrassing yourself. That's literally just how language learning works. Even if you watch videos of, you know, Korean actors or anybody, like when they speak Korean, they sound one way, and they speak English, their voice may sound completely different. So just keep that in mind. It's literally just part of the language speaking process. And then number 6, look for opportunities to speak locally. So if you're like me, the opportunities to speak locally are quite limited. Honestly, a lot of the times when I want to speak locally, it requires me to spend money somewhere. So for me, it's either going to H Mart, going to the beauty supply store, or just, you know, whatever. There's a Korean bakery locally that I had discovered. Most of the time I'm having to make like a 30-minute drive just to get experience. And I kind of like that a little bit more than me like being on the phone with like a language exchange partner. Because I don't know, I think it's just a little bit different when you're like face to face with somebody. It is very challenging though, but I would just highly encourage you guys, like you have to get out of your comfort zone and look for those opportunities. You know, get on Google and see, are there any Korean restaurants near you? Are there any, you know, Korean bakeries near you? Any Korean markets near you? And literally just do what you can. Obviously, I know some of you may live in towns where there's not much of a Korean population, but just do what you can. And if you notice that there is opportunity, you know, just go out from time to time and make it a goal to speak, because that's really gonna help your speaking skills and your confidence over time. And number 7, please y'all, just get a tutor. Like this one to me is funny because when I had started studying Korean, I was like, I can't afford a tutor. Like that's just not gonna happen for me. And now I have a tutor that I meet with every 2 weeks. Me and my friend actually meet with her. And occasionally if I want to, I can do one-on-one lessons with her too. But literally like, okay, italki, please like sponsor me or something, because I love italki. But like italki is fantastic because I understand that there's other programs out there where like tutoring is expensive, so you're like, okay, I can't afford that. I can guarantee you, if you look on italki for some tutors, you guys can find some people who will teach Korean to you at an affordable rate. I literally do lessons for like $9, sometimes a little bit more than that. But it's so affordable. And if you think, oh, I can't afford a $9 lesson, first of all, it just depends on how often you're trying to do it. And second of all, most of us spend like $30 at Starbucks every single week. If you're going to get a drink every single day from Starbucks, you can definitely afford to invest in yourself and do some tutoring. So please don't talk yourself out of it, because you're going to regret it. I think my Korean would have been much more advanced by now had I just realized that, yes, I can afford to do tutoring, you know, twice a week or whenever. Like you have to invest in yourself and think about what do you really want. Especially if you're having trouble like figuring things out in the beginning, I highly recommend you get a tutor. If you don't have a lot of people to speak to, get a tutor. Like, there's literally no reason for you not to do it. So, just keep that in mind. I just want to encourage everybody, if you think you can't afford it, just take a look at your finances again and just see what you can do. Even if it's one time a month, I guarantee you guys can pay $9 or whatever it is a month just to have somebody help you out with your Korean skills. And lastly, number 8, be realistic. I see a lot of videos on YouTube that I feel really kind of end up discouraging people in the end, where they're like, oh, become fluent in Korean in 30 days or 3 months or whatever they say. And it's like, no, like that does not happen. I think that your skills can skyrocket depending on how much you study Korean and the resources you have. But no, like I don't think anyone can become fluent in any language in 30 days, especially not Korean, because it is one of the most advanced languages for someone to learn, especially if you're fluent in English. Like, that's just not going to happen. So be realistic, especially if you're starting out. Be realistic with your study schedule. Be realistic with your goals. Do not bring yourself out with like, oh, I'm going to study for 4 hours a day. Like, unless you're going to college or something like that, you're probably not going to be able to do that. So start out a little bit at a time. Especially if you're brand new, because you're trying to get your feet wet to see if you really even want to study the language. You don't want to go overboard and then burn yourself out, because in the end, you're just going to be like, this is too much work. Well, Korean definitely is work, but maybe it felt like more work because you're doing too much in the beginning. So even if you're starting out for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes a day, getting your feet wet, seeing, what your system is and seeing if you like the language, start with that and then build your way up. I personally try to do at least 5 days a week of study. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, but the goal is to just, be consistent. But even if you're only getting to do like 5 minutes a day, like, again, that's okay. We all have our weeks where we get tired, and sometimes it is good for you to take a break too, because again, it is a lot of work. And if you're not careful, you can definitely burn yourself out. So just be realistic. Kind of like we're going with the tutoring thing, at the end of the day, you're probably gonna have to come out of pocket for something with Korean. If somebody was able to learn Korean and become fluent with and they didn't come out of pocket at all, I mean, you're amazing. But for the most part, you're gonna have to pay for some stuff. I think over the years, I probably have spent maybe around $300 educating myself because of, books, now tutoring, app subscriptions, memberships or whatever. So you're gonna have to come out of pocket, but if we can pay Starbucks, I don't know, $100 a month for coffee, you can definitely pay to educate yourself and learn a beautiful language and all of that. So you never know where Korean will take you. So yeah, I hope that you guys have an awesome Korean learning journey. Please let me know how Korean's going for you guys. If you have any tips, I hope that this all helped you guys. And before I go, let me get this book and show you guys this Korean book before I forget. Okay, so this is the book. It's Build and Extend Your Korean Sentences. You're reading this on the screen's a little hard, but this book is fantastic. If you guys, well, actually, I'm gonna make it anyway if you guys want it or not, but I am gonna eventually make a video with resources for learning Korean. But just a quick sneak peek, this book is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys can really see it that well, but you can write down sentences and stuff. It's a lot of really good information in here. So high key recommend this book to you guys. But again, I will do a actual video that has all the different books and app recommendations, any kind of resources, websites for you guys learning Korean. But this is just a quick sneak peek because I mentioned the book. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging and not show it to you. But please, I would say once you get a good amount of vocabulary, definitely get this book because it helps out a lot. It's a good investment. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that this video really blessed you all. I am so excited that I got to actually talk about Korean because it just feels good talking about it. I really love it, as you guys can probably tell. And if you have any video suggestions or questions for me, please leave them in the comments. Make sure you guys share this video to help anyone else who might need some tips learning Korean. And yeah, I think that that's all that I've got for you guys today. So I will see you all in the next video. Remember, you're chosen, treasured, and loved by God. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.